So, Brees looked old. Big Ben looked old. Phillip Rivers looked old. Tom Brady yesterday just looked great. And it was great because there were times yesterday I thought Tom was throwing the ball too hard on some of those in routes for his receivers. I think that's probably top 5 Tom Brady moment for me. Forget the fact he was on the road. Forget the fact the Saints, I believe, have the best roster in the NFL. Forget the fact it's a top 5 defense. Yesterday went from Tom Brady won the divorce to, God, New England made a huge, huge mistake. I don't want to hear about his weapons. Antonio Brown got hurt. Mike Evans, ineffective. Chris Godwin played poorly. Gronk, non-factor. I don't want to hear about weapons. And by the way, nobody thinks Brady had the better coach yesterday. That, my friends, was a master's class on how to win a playoff game when not everything goes well. Wisdom and leadership and moxie and intelligence and efficiency. You know, it's funny. There's always those bumper stickers. You ever seen those bumper stickers? You mean people stink. And I always think, so do people with low standards. Tom Brady yells at teammates. Tom Brady can be rough. Tom Brady barks at coaches. Tom Brady, I've heard, is rough at practice. Do it again. Let's go. Line up. Do it again. Let's go. And yesterday is the payday for that. Sometimes people are viewed as mean when all they're doing is holding you to a standard you're certainly capable of reaching, but nobody's ever demanded you reach that standard. Yesterday, Tom didn't have the system. He didn't have Belichick. He didn't have the Foxborough weather. He didn't have the better defense. No, not really. He just had Tom. 43 years of Tom Brady. That's all he had. And you know what I mean? If you'd have said before the game, all right, so Brady's going to go and play the Saints for a third time. Mike Evans, AB, Chris Godwin, and Gronk are going to combine for 7 catches. You would have said, oh my God, this is a disaster. Instead, they won going away. We've gone past the Brady won the divorce. This is New England made a huge mistake. Rivers looked old. Ben looked old. Brees looked old. Tom looked great. Honestly, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he goes to Europe. I don't know what he's taken. Maybe it's the supermodel wife. I have no idea. Maybe it's avocado ice cream. But Drew Brees struggling perfectly framed how amazing Brady is. This feels very much like LeBron and D. Wade. Where at the end, D. Wade's a Hall of Famer with great integrity, but he's coming off the bench and he's not very dynamic. And LeBron's still the best player in the game. What? How's that possible? It's not really. Maybe LeBron eats avocado ice cream for breakfast too. Brees is still really good, but Brees is how you age when you get to 40. That's what you look like. That's what you look like. Can't throw the deep ball. Just don't have that zip on the sideline passes. That was as impressive as I've ever seen. I don't want to hear about Belichick. I don't want to hear about the weapons. I don't want to hear about the system. Remember all those articles that came out about a year and a half ago with Tom? Anonymous sources. We could have won with a lot of quarterbacks here. Yeah, I saw Cam. It wasn't great. And Cam's not untalented. And by the way, Jameis is not untalented. Jameis is really talented. In New Orleans, he's the guy that can throw the ball, deep and stuff. 7-9 to 13-5. Maybe 14-5. Maybe 15-5. Tom afterwards.
Defense was incredible all game. The turnovers were huge. Last time we played them, we gave, we lost a turnover, -3. Today was +4. You're not going to lose many games when you're +4. So just a great effort. They came up huge offensively, made some plays when we needed to. Running game was great. Line protected great up front. Just a great week of prep. And really proud of our team and everything we put in to get to this point.
Brady's never been great in the first quarter of any Super Bowl. He's a boxer. He feels the game out. But he's had some unbelievable second halves. And that is truly what separates good from great and great from legend. Tampa trailed third quarter on the road against a better roster by 7. Brady's last 4 drives, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, ran out the clock. That's as good as you can quarterback. I mean, that was a master's class yesterday. All right, so the Cleveland Browns are gone. Head up, though. Baker Mayfield only had 1 first down last 8 minutes. Not great, but you know what? The reality is Cleveland's going to be around. Cleveland played their butt off. Cleveland finally has the right coach, and Baker, when he has the right coach, can be pretty effective. Good for them. But let's be totally honest about what we saw Kansas City, Cleveland. When Patrick Mahomes left, he was 21 of 30, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and 107 passer rating. That's on a bad foot. Hobbled for 2 quarters, didn't play for a quarter and a half, and Kansas City won. And when Mahomes got the ball, let me read you what happened to every drive. Touchdown, touchdown, field goal, missed field goal, in position for a field goal. They scored on every drive they engineered with Mahomes. I mean, it really was Kevin Durant and Steph and the Warriors. Like, they just have figured the game out. It is just easier. Travis Kelce and Cleveland knew he was their first target. 8 catches, 109 yards. They were powerless. Tyreek Hill, we've got to double him. 8 catches, 109 yards. Powerless. It didn't matter that Cleveland knew who they were going to throw to. They still went to him for 16 combined catches. And I look at this game, I kind of look at this game 2 ways, or in 2 parts. Here's the first part, and this is really how I see the game. Kansas City led 19-10. Mahomes is driving and gets hurt. He was going to set him up for at least a field goal, maybe a touchdown. But if their kicker could have made a PAT and an easy field goal, it would have been, 23-10. Mahomes leads a touchdown, it's 30-10, and it's over. And I'm not making excuses. There was a call that didn't go Cleveland's way. But what I saw was a quarterback that didn't play for 3 weeks, came in with a hobbled foot very early, had to leave early, and it didn't affect anything. They still won the football game. Kansas City, for the first time in about a month and a half, maybe they are better than Buffalo. To not be able to have your star quarterback who's rusty coming in, playing a hobbled foot, and then leave, and you win with Chad Henne. I mean, I had my doubts they could flip a switch. And it's nothing against what Cleveland did. But Kansas City's defense, when they had to be great, was, and they won with Chad Henne. Those first 7-8 drives by Mahomes, it was insane. It's like he had the answers to the test. He wasn't getting sacked. He wasn't really getting hurried. He was moving out of the pocket. Sometimes, I said this when Katie and Steph, there were times I felt they were bored. There were times I thought Katie and Steph were literally struggling to convince themselves, we got a game tonight, folks. It starts in 8 minutes. Those first 7-8 drives, wow. It should not be that easy, because Cleveland's got a lot of ballers, and they got a lot of big contracts. They got a lot of players, and Myles Garrett's unbelievable, and they got talented guys in the back end. But I don't see that as a close game. I see that as an injury, a hobbled foot, and a concussion away from being way too easy for a team that had a quarterback that hadn't played in 20 days. Really impressive stuff by Kansas City. 21 of 30 was Mahomes, 250 yards, 107 passer rating, rarely hurried, didn't play for 3 weeks. That's not what it's supposed to look like. That is not what it's supposed to look like. And Cleveland was powerless to stop Travis Kelce, powerless to stop Tyreek Hill. I mean, everybody today is like, Cleveland, great job. Yeah, that's fine. But if Mahomes doesn't get a banged-up foot and Mahomes stays in, that thing was getting out of hand. I don't want to hear about a call. That thing had a chance to get out of hand. He's on Fox NFL Kickoff with me on Sundays. Fox Sports NFL reporter and a great one, Peter Schrager, now joining us live from New York. All right, let's talk about Chad Henne. You know, it's classic Andy Reid. Chad Henne comes in, and my feeling is, oh, this is terrible. You cannot win this game with a guy that hasn't played in months. And I really did. I thought, okay, there's no way they're going to win this game. This is Cleveland now is running the football. I'm sure you've talked to people inside the Chiefs organization, but you know what? They were kind of aggressive. The play calling was kind of aggressive. Were you surprised by that?
It was a classic Andy Reid, but Henne's story is so good, Colin. So I did speak with folks in Kansas City. You got to realize Chad Henne's been with this team for 3 years, has never really had an opportunity or a reason to get in the game because Mahomes has been healthy the whole time. And last year at the Super Bowl, he didn't dress. They chose Matt Moore to be the number 2 quarterback over Henne. So he's there in street clothes, devastated. This year, the entire season, he wins out the job as the number 2, but never has to go in because it's Mahomes, plays week 17. Here he is, 13 years in the league, Colin, has never taken a snap in a playoff game.
Wow.
They put him in the fourth quarter in the biggest of moments after Mahomes goes down. And then on 4th and 1, with all the marbles, they complete this pass.
God.
And I can tell you, there was never a doubt. And it comes from Andy. It comes from Mike Kafka, the quarterback's coach. It comes from Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator. They all talked about it afterwards. There was never a doubt. This was the plays, what they were preparing for. Henne's kids were at the game, 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. It's the first time they ever saw him play in a playoff game or ever saw him make a big play. They got to see it. And here's the last point on it. You know, we talk about made men. Andy Reid wins the Super Bowl last year. He's kind of playing with house money right now, where he has the ability to go for this. And if they don't get it, is he going to deal with the media crushing him? Is there going to be questions the next morning? I don't know. Andy Reid winning the Super Bowl last year gave them such confidence that they can go for this play. You look at Mike Tomlin last week. They're down 12 in the Browns territory, 4th and 1, they punt. Mike Vrabel last week, 4th and 2, down 4 against the Ravens at home. In the Ravens territory, they punt. Andy Reid, 4th and 1 with Chad Henne getting his first playoff action in 13 years. They go for it. They convert it. Baker never gets back on the field. That's what separates the great coaches, the Hall of Fame coaches, from the rest of the league.
Patrick Mahomes, we're crossing our fingers. Your gut feeling, does he play? What do you know?
My gut feeling is yes, and I probably shouldn't be talking so loosey-goosey. This kid wants to play, and from what I gather, as bad as it looked, it's not as bad as it looked. And the hope is that although he's in the concussion protocol, he'll be good to go on Sunday. Jay Glazer had a great report in the OT yesterday, said it almost looked like he got choked out. It didn't look like a pure concussion. It was like a different kind of hit, almost like a jiu-jitsu move or an MMA move. Like he was out temporarily. They were almost more concerned with his foot after the game than what was going on neurologically. So they're going to play this out throughout the week, but I would be more focused on whether that big toe on the left foot is good to go as far as him mentally being ready to go there. Apparently he might be just fine.
Yeah, that toe was an issue. Like he was wincing in pain. He couldn't throw to the left side of the field. He was wincing when he pushed off on it. So, I mean, Tom Brady it is remarkable because I thought Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Breeze, they look their age. This is how my entire life, at the end, Troy Aikman, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning. This is how it looks. I was just taken back. Brady's velocity on some of those red zone throws, it was like, Tom, bring the fastball down a little. What were people texting you? Your thoughts on what you saw?
Well, let's take it right here. On 3rd and 11 on their own 20, tied 20-20 in the fourth quarter. And he's got Gronk and Evans and Godwin and Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown. And he's got the courage and trust to throw a back shoulder laser to Tyler Johnson, number 18, a guy who has 12 catches on the year, a rookie 5th-round pick out of Minnesota. Brady has the trust and confidence in all these guys. 5 plays later, it's 3rd and 5. He throws that beautiful pass to Scotty Miller right in the bucket between 2 defenders. Brady was unconscious in the second half. He couldn't miss. You know, for all the Evans and the Antonio Brown and Gronk and Godwin talk, their leading receiver was Cameron Brate yesterday. That's the Brady difference. He's got full trust in these guys. This pass here to Scotty Miller, how clutch was that? And, you know, I texted Bill Richards, who is our mutual studio boss. He's our executive producer of all the studio stuff at Fox. I said, we have done so many breakdowns of so many mediocre and above average quarterbacks over the last 5 years working at Fox. This is what we do that for, to get Brady in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers in an NFC championship game. There is so much mediocre quarterback play week to week. These are 2 of the best to ever throw a football, and we get that on Fox, 3:05 Eastern, Sunday, Colin, this is why we put in all those hours.
All right, Chargers hire Brandon Staley, all but the Texans and Eagles. By the way, fairly dysfunctional at this moment. They don't have a coach yet. Chargers go super young, little curveball. Did it surprise people?
It did. Everyone assumed they were going Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator from Buffalo. I could tell you that I'd been talking around. It wasn't a sure thing they were going that way. And Brandon Staley might have been the glimmer in their eye even more. Staley, who is a defensive coordinator, 38 years old with the Rams, just 1 year as a coordinator. Last year, he was the outside linebackers coach of a Denver Broncos team that completely missed the playoffs. What a meteoric rise. Tell you this, though, has a ton of respect around the league and has a ton of respect from those young defensive players on the Rams. Anyone in Los Angeles market who is a Chargers fan saying, yeah, but what about Herbert? What about Herbert? Here's the feedback I got. Brandon Staley was a tremendous high school quarterback and then was a star quarterback at Dayton. And then in the early years of his coaching career, which included community college and D3 and D1 at Tennessee, was an offensive coach. So it's not like you're getting just one of these defensive guys who can't speak to a quarterback. He will surely hire a good offensive staff. Justin Herbert's going to be in good hands. They thought he was a leader of men, and that is a meteoric rise for a 38-year-old who was a position coach last year.
Yeah, I talked to Tom Telesco this weekend, and it's really actually a good year for candidates. Jason Garrett, I talked to Jason this weekend. You had a Daboll. You still got Eric Bieniemy out there. Like it's a year. There's real candidates this year, and people are going young. Finally, Eagles got a lot of power struggles. It's such an 80s, 90s dilemma. Yeah, it's just weird. Everybody's pushing and pulling, and Philadelphia doesn't have a coach. Do we have a leader in the clubhouse?
Yeah, so listen, salary cap's an issue. The quarterback situation, we don't know with Wentz and Hurts. And of course, there's a situation where they just fired a Super Bowl winner from 3 years ago over who's going to be the assistant coaches. I'll give you these names. I think Josh McDaniels has a real shot to be the Eagles head coach. Josh McDaniels has a real shot to be the Eagles' next coach, leaving New England, going to Philadelphia. I think Todd Bowles has a shot, and I think Gerard Mayo, who was an assistant with Bill Belichick for a couple years now, 34-year-old former player Gerard Mayo has a shot. But Josh McDaniels coming from New England to go work with Howie Roseman, finally becoming a head coaching candidate and finally becoming a head coach in this league would be something to watch, because if there's anyone who can talk to quarterbacks, it's McDaniels. But as we know with what happened in Denver, and then, of course, leaving Indianapolis at the altar there, a lot of teams were like, that is toxic. We don't want to touch it. Do the Eagles have the courage to walk into their media room and say, Josh McDaniels is the number one guy for this job?
Great stuff, Schrags. As always, delivering nuggets all the way around. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you stopping by the show.
Love coming on, Colin. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, it is. You sit there and we've got Rodgers against Brady, Mahomes against Josh Allen. That's what we should have. Those are the four best guys all year. That's what we should have. Now, there's talented young people out there, but they may not have the right coach. There's talented coaches out there. Kyle Shanahan, maybe he doesn't have the right quarterback. But this is what we got. We got competent coaches, great quarterbacks. It's not about defense, not about run games. Can't be about special teams or Tampa wouldn't be here. Get the right quarterback. Get him a coach. This is where you end up.